Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Game of Thrones Part 1 episode of Geek Freaks.
Whoop whoop.
And I am Frank, I'm with Jonathan.
What's up?
And Squeaks.
Squeaks.
Alright, so this is a two-parter. Our first part is going to be reviewing the seasons so far. This episode is for those people that have not watched Game of Thrones before, but they're like, oh, I don't want to be the only person, like Daniel, that are not watching
I
this.
should say, hopefully Daniel listens to this one.
I know. That's the reason he's not here right now, is because he just doesn't know Game of Thrones, and he's just like, I don't know, man. It's too hard to get into at this point.
It's so good, though.
Listen to this podcast, and you will be caught up.
Yeah, listen to this podcast, and you'll decide not to jump into season 8, but just to go back and start from season 1 and watch them all again.
It's so good. I'm rewatching, because, we've been watching them all. Season 7, my God, it's so good.
It's so many huge, drastic changes. It's game-changing moments in that season, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
We won't dive too deep into it, because we're going to go do that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is, Squeaks, you haven't had a chance to read over these yet, but you have it in front of you. Each season, one of us will be reading down, this is a list from a BBC website of what's going on per season. We'll be reading down it, and we'll be discussing each member and each aspect of it, okay? Yeah. So, John, do you want to start us off with season 1?
Sure.
All right, fire away, man.
All right, so forgive me for my terrible reading skills as well.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
All right, season 1. Members of the Night's Watch, an ancient order guarding the wall of the north of Westeros, encounter a supernatural being known as a White Walker in the forest, previously assumed to be mythical.
So, okay, again, if you're really new to this, Westeros is the continent where most of the stuff happens. White Walkers are badass zombies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Swords.
Yeah, they ride horses.
Yeah, technically, there's White Walkers and Whites. White Walkers are the controllers of the zombies, really.
Yeah.
But, and the Night's Watch are pretty cool.
So the Night's Watch are just a military force that they dedicate their lives, or they're taken as an alternate option to prison. Yeah. To serve at the wall to protect humanity from these zombies, pretty much.
Yeah, there's literally just a giant wall that they're watching.
But at this point, I think in the beginning of the show, this is all more or less myth from generations ago, that there's some kind of monster beyond the wall, so we have to stay here and protect it. All these people don't think that, or for the most part, don't really believe it's so true, but they know they have to stay there and watch it anyways.
That's one thing that's funny is they think they're protecting his wildlings, which are just people that happen to be north of the wall.
Yeah.
But they don't really remember the whole White Walker part of it.
Yeah.
And the Night's Watch has really deteriorated because we're we don't need that much to protect against wildlings.
Yeah. The wall is so effective, they don't need guards to stand.
So there's 7 castles along the wall, but only one of them now is being used. Yeah. All the other ones, like Eastwatch, stuff like that, Night Fort, they're all abandoned, basically. Mm-hmm. So I think Eastwatch does have... They start to renovate it. I think John puts that in place. So yeah, so Night's Watch do their thing. All right, what's next?
Ned Stark, Warden of the North, is visited in Winterfell by Robert Baratheon and invited to serve as at his side following the sudden death of Jon Arryn, the previous Hand of the King. Stark's daughter Sansa and Arya travel with him to King's Landing, but find the corrupt city-state in disarray.
All right. With season 1, we have a lot of new names. So we're going to be, the future seasons that we're going to be reviewing, we don't have to break down everything so much.
Yeah.
Tell us about Ned Stark a little bit in these characters.
So, yeah, we see, this is where we get to know, I can't remember the actor that plays Ned Stark. Do you remember his name?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean, yeah. Awesome character, awesome actor. So we see him as a very noble, very respectable king of the North, or king of Winterfell.
He's not king. He's just...
Oh, yeah.
The Lord of Winterfell.
Lord of Winterfell, yeah.
Robert Baratheon is king of everything. He's king of the 7 kingdoms.
Yeah, so everything in Westeros, pretty much, right? And so he comes, they're good friends from long ago.
They grew up together.
Yeah, he comes and summons him and says, hey, the Hand of the King, my right-hand man, has died. I need you to come serve with me. And so very hesitantly, very reluctantly, Ned joins him and brings his daughters along and goes and lives in Winterfell with them.
In King's Landing.
King's Landing with them.
King's Landing is like your classic capital city.
Yeah.
It's corrupted. It's been around too long.
Yeah, about a million.
Winterfell has noble standards. When King's Landing is make a buck, here's a brothel.
Prostitution and everything.
Everything's crazy over there. So he gets down there, there's real culture shock.
Yeah.
And Robert Baratheon, he's one of my favorite characters. The actor, Andy something like that. He does such a great job playing Robert Baratheon.
Yeah.
Because he's like he's overweight and everything like that. He's drinking beer. Mm-hmm. And it's just he's one of those guys that has been to war and enjoyed the war.
Yeah.
And now that he's in charge, he's just I wish there was another war.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's, But yeah, so
Very-
and then the small John Aaron part, just as a reference, he was the one that basically raised Ned in because they would lived at his castle.
Ned and Robert.
Ned and Robert.
Yeah. Okay. The family of Baratheon's bride, Cersei Lannister, are allegedly behind the killing of John Aaron. His son meaning
Ned's.
Ned Stark's son, Bran, witnesses Cersei in bed with her brother Jaime, who shoves him from the tower window, leaving Bran paralyzed. So this seemed like a small little thing, but that's a game changer. Now Bran, who is a huge character in the story, is paralyzed for the rest of his life.
He's the youngest son of Ned Stark, and he sees that Cersei and her twin brother are getting it on in a tower.
Yeah.
Gets pushed out and is paralyzed for forever.
Now, more importantly, seeing those two getting it on brings major questions into the legitimacy of her children, who are to be heirs to the throne, right?
Yeah.
So that's insane. I mean, people are bashful to the idea of incest between
It's literally
siblings.
Yeah. Daniel has quoted that at the beginning. He doesn't watch more. It's like,
Yeah.
It was weird that they were making love. Like the actors are not actually related. It's
Out
just
of
a show.
Yeah.
all the things that he watches already.
Yeah.
And back in these times, I'm sure. I mean, not that this is from our history or anything like that, but I'm sure back in medieval times, it was less frowned upon or more. I don't know. It's gross. It's weird, but you can't travel to halfway across the world to find different people. They don't jump in a car and drive 10 minutes to the next city.
Well, the
so.
English monarchy is so inbred, it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
it really because the idea is like you trade with Norway for their bride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
well, like 2 centuries ago, they did the same thing. So there's still some cousins in there. You know what I'm saying?
people outside of royalty are just dirt. They're just scum. They're peasants to you. You
Right.
don't breed with them because that
Yeah.
will infect you. That is dirty. So, I mean, I don't support incest, but in
You're
this
coming
times...
on
Yeah.
very pro.
I'm just saying, I don't want that to turn people off of these characters or the show because...
Yeah,
That's
because
just-
there's some more of that later on, like we see with the
the Targaryens.
Targaryens. Yeah.
The Targaryens always breed brother to sister
Yeah.
for centuries.
Yeah.
So it's because they have to keep their blood, because they can control dragons, they keep that bloodline as pure as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's a saying that when a Targaryen is born, they flip a coin. They're either an excellent ruler or a mad king person. You know, like they're nuts. And it's funny because every Targaryen in the thing is one of those two things.
Yeah.
Every Targaryen we
Very
encounter.
clearly.
Every one of
Either
them is
good or
funny.
insane.
Yeah. Real quick on a thing you had mentioned, this is actually based a lot on War of the Roses. It was a British war that had happened.
Okay.
George R. R. Martin, he's a real big fan of British history,
Mhm.
and he used a lot of that for the Lannister and Stark aspects of the fight. And like Tyrion's based on this character in history, although he did write Tyrion to be himself. So whenever you see Tyrion, it's actually his stand-in for George R. R. Martin.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of the moments and stuff like that are like, oh, this is based off of this war.
Yeah.
Because he's a big history nut.
Piecing
So,
together key parts of history to build it. That's cool.
yeah. Jump in anytime you want to, Squeaks. You're over
Oh no,
there.
yeah,
don't-
well,
don't
I'm,
share,
I'm
don't
listening.
share.
I kind of you're reminding me of things that happened in this first season. So
Don't worry. It's these thorough notes help a lot. All right. Tyrion Lannister, a dwarf, accompanies Ned's bastard son Jon Snow to the Night's Watch. On his way home, Tyrion is arrested at the behest of Catelyn Stark, which is Ned's wife, who believes him responsible for Bran's fall, prompting a trial by combat to secure his release. Tyrion, imprisoned in the Vale, under the watchful eye of Catelyn's sister Lysa Arryn, enlists Bronn to fight for him. He defeats Arryn's chosen champion.
I forgot that was in season 1. I thought that was a lot later.
Yeah.
That was
For some reason,
really
yeah.
cool because that's where we first see the Moon Door and what was the name of the prison that he was staying in, or the cells where
It's in the Vale. I forget.
Yeah.
Sky Sails. I think it's Sky Sail.
Yeah, because you can you see Tyrion. If you fall asleep and you're not paying attention to your orientation, you could roll right out and die.
As you toss and turn,
Yeah, or if the guard comes in and wants to beat you and just throw you off the edge. So the cell has one wall that is just the cliff. To the Vale is a cliff. It's a
Castle on a mountain, high on a mountain.
There you go. I can't get the words out. They're in there. They're hiding in there. You can see them, but they
Give
can't
me
get
10 good men and I can impregnate the bitch. I love, that's my favorite line about the Vale is while they're approaching it, Bronn, who's this new character that shows up, he's a mercenary and he's awesome.
Yes.
And him and Tyrion, who become fast friends because Tyrion's got the money and he's a mercenary.
Yeah.
Tyrion says, and I want us to talk about our favorite parts about all these things,
Yeah.
so make sure you guys jump in on that. But Tyrion's like, oh, they say she's impregnable when they first see the Vale. And Bronn is my favorite line of his. He says, give me 10 good men and I can impregnate the bitch. And it's a timing hooks, whatever, and I can impregnate the bitch. And that is later on used in season 7 to perfect situation. We'll talk about it when we get to there, but it's so great.
All right. That's
So,
pretty good.
good.
But yeah, in that scene, Tyrion was to be executed if he doesn't succeed, but he enlists Bronn to fight for him for his
trial by combat.
Trial by combat, yeah, who succeeds because he's slender and agile, not brute and heavy and wearing
Full of
thick
armor.
armor like his combatant. So that was a cool battle to see.
Another good line is when the night falls through the moon door, Lyrsa, the leader at the time of the Vale, is like, "You don't fight with honor," and he's like, "Yeah, but he did," and pointing down to the dead guy falling through the moon
Yeah.
door. He's like, "Clean, that's clean. Welcome to Game
That's
of
true.
Thrones."
Yeah, fight dirty if it keeps you alive.
Yeah. This moment too, everybody will say like Bran being pushed out the door started the Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I felt Catelyn's decision to capture Tyrion was the moment that started the game part of Game of Thrones, where things had to get shuffled up.
That's true.
Because at that point, then Ned's kicking into second gear. Everybody's
Yeah.
kicking into second gear.
But so that was initiated by Jon Arryn's murder too.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, it's the reason
So
it's the opening
they
shot
could've
is
left
Jon's
that-
funeral.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing that could be brushed under the door. Little
Yeah.
things, and even Bran being pushed out, it was by a random assassin. It was the fact that the assassin used a Valyrian blade to do it that put everything into question.
Yeah.
But it was really just a random assassin. That could have been chalked up to... I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the guy who tried to assassinate him, not push him through the door.
Yeah. So you're
But
combining two
everybody
scenes.
assumed Bran had fallen and not necessarily... So there's this thing where it's like, everything could be assumptions. Catelyn's decision to capture Tyrion was a hard turn of,
Yeah.
I'm causing blame, I'm putting blame on the Lannisters.
Yeah, other people viewing it will see she intentionally directed an attack towards that family by
That's what
capturing
I mean,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Nothing. There's no cover story you could put on it.
Exactly.
I got you. All right, let me continue.
Okay.
When Baratheon is fatally wounded, being Robert Baratheon is fatally wounded in a suspicious hunting accident, Ned is named Protector of the Realm until Cersei's sadistic son Joffrey comes of age. Ned, however, plans to install Stannis Baratheon, the king's estranged brother, in his stead because he learns that Joffrey is not King Robert's kid. Ned is betrayed by Lord Peter Baelish, a.k.a. Littlefinger,
Littlefinger?
yeah, and decapitated on Joffrey's orders. So that is,
heartbreaking.
yeah, I mean,
I forget
There's-
Joffrey was in season 1 too.
there's a couple
Damn.
more.
I just feel like it's one big mesh now, but I feel
Yeah.
like that
You're like
stuff
a
happened
live
later.
audience member right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great.
I'm like, this is season 1. I thought it was like season 2 or 3.
And I still have more to read because of Daenerys, but that was the end of the season right there. We see
Right. We're
more
kind
or
of
less-
each one of these are about a different character mostly.
Yeah.
You know.
So that was just like heart wrenching because you fall in love with Ned because he shows you what a good family man he is, what a good leader he is, how noble and respectful he is, and you're like, that's cool. I want to see a good medieval world where everyone's full
Exactly.
of honor and respect and nobility, and then he gets his head lobbed off, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm empty inside now. That's so sad, and you almost want to stop watching after that because you're like,
yeah.
I've been betrayed. This guy I was so excited for, I've been
Good
betrayed.
word for it.
But over a little bit of time, you start to see his kids have all of that in him. He lives on throughout his children, and they take on totally different dynamics, and they pursue his nobility and integrity and the future that he wanted to lay out, through their own actions.
Couple things to take away from that. First of all, there's a saying, "Winter is coming," and that is, as Stark saying, everybody has their own family mottos. That meaning, what winter is coming meaning, as of what we know now, there might be something more to it. But anyways, is that the Starks don't do good when they're on their own.
Yeah.
Like when wolves are on their own, they can do that in the summer. But during the winter, they come together as a pack.
They say when
and they're stronger.
the lone wolf will die, but the pack will survive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically what winter is coming is saying we need to come together as a family to survive the harsh cold.
Yeah.
It also could be a little hint of like we're here to protect against the whites.
Yeah.
That's
And
a little side
on
thing.
the surface, what everyone else, for the most part, in the other kingdom sees is they do have harsh winters in the north,
That's what they
So,
assumed, yeah.
yeah.
But the Starks
but they're not.
see it as a different line.
They're also not annual winters, right? It's like after 10 years, we'll have a cold winter that lasts 3 years or
Yeah,
something.
every winter, summer, everything lasts 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
All the winters and summers and stuff like that. This has been, I think it's a 7-year summer there right now. It's been like an extra long summer.
Yeah.
Which everybody's like, okay, this is coming, it's going to come harsh. And it will. Another thing to note, this is almost like a little note from George R. R. Martin, the writer of the book at the time. And we won't talk, let me just say this right now. We'll not bring up book stuff much because this isn't for the book readers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people get annoyed when you do talk about the books. But this is a note from George R. R. Martin saying, look, this is not your Lord of the Rings. This is not your fantasy story that you're used to
Yeah.
where the noble one survives and you get this like proud paladin that's being great.
Just like Bronn says when the guy falls to the moon door, he fought with honor.
He fought with honor.
Yeah.
He is dead. That was a hint to like watch out.
Yeah.
Ned Stark fights with honor. He gonna get screwed.
Yeah, Ned stood for integrity and responded to the call when they told him to come.
Yeah.
And he could have said, no, forget you guys, I'll wage war if I have to. I'm not going to go serve you or whatever. But he didn't. He stuck with nobility and integrity, and it killed him.
Yeah.
Now his children have to decide what line can they walk between
How can they stretch that?
upholding his integrity and still maintaining their lives and
they all adapt.
supporting their families.
I could be super wrong too, but I feel like ever since the Ned Stark thing is that other movies or shows are doing that now to where like, okay, your main hero is not going to be like what you're saying, this superhero like paladin, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was the first time I ever that I thought like, this has got to be a dream. Because it's always like a dream or something. Yeah. But then it's like, no, he's still not here. It's 3 episodes later. What's going on?
You can't trust the main character's going to be alive the whole time.
Yeah.
Pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So that was a big moment.
All right, let me continue on. At this point, so Sansa's arrested by the Lannisters as Arya manages to escape. In response, Stark's son Robb, the heir to the North, kind of, he's not a king's lord, is named King of the North and rallies the armies of the North against the Lannisters. Across the narrow seas, Daenerys... Dothraki.
Yeah.
I got excited. Across the narrow seas, Dothraki warlord Khal Drogo marries Daenerys Targaryen. She believes herself the true heir to the Iron Throne and plots an assault on Westeros. Drogo dies after being hexed by a witch. Daenerys avenges him and hatches 3 dragon eggs presented to her as a wedding gift.
All right, there's a lot to
did just watch that episode too.
Yeah. and she happens to hatch these 3 eggs that were her gifts,
Yeah.
That sounds really, really small. That was huge. So her husband, Khal Drogo, a lord of the Dothraki, big powerful guy, gets sick, was poisoned, right? Because he was already nearly dying.
He had like an infection from a slice on the chest.
That's what it was. And then they were raiding a camp, and she grabbed the witch doctor and said, "Hey, heal him."
Yeah.
And of course, the witch doctor packs it with poison, and he starts to die.
She ends up. So she says, "Do anything you can to save his life."
Yeah.
It was really important because she's pregnant at the time with the one that'll mount the world. Like she has like this prophesied baby inside of her.
Yeah.
And of course, like, are you sure? Anything? And then she says, bring me his horse. So you assume, like, okay, the horse's life is what will pay for it. It's life or death. And what it is Daenerys ends up giving birth as soon as they're saving Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
And they save Khal Drogo, he's in vegetative state, and Daenerys gives birth to, like, this monster baby that dies right away.
Yeah.
They actually said it has, like, scales and stuff like that. A little bit dragony. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Half dragon, half horse.
Oh, boy, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then on the thing before that, real quick, I just want to mention the big thing with the Starks is they bent the knee to the Targaryens a long time ago. So they're wardens, they're lords, but they're not kings.
Yeah.
And when they beheaded Ned Stark, they rallied together and got his son Robb, who is like a spitting image of Ned. He's very honorable and everything like that. And they said, "You're the king of the North. We're making you a king. Let's go invade the Lannisters." So now we have like, boom, our big impact thing for the next couple seasons.
Yeah.
Starks versus Lannisters. Everybody get hyped.
Yeah,
so
and he has all of his bannermen ready for it, backing him because his dad just got beheaded. So it was an exciting moment for sure.
Yeah. And then these dragons hatching is like insane.
So she got these eggs. They were supposedly petrified from sitting for so many years and stuff like that. And she was given to them by, I looked them up, Illyrio Mopatis.
He's the one that took care of them after the Targaryen betrayal.
And I was trying to find more about him, that he was somebody special. He's wealthy, but
there's some fan theories on him, man.
Is there?
Unreal.
I just found that he's a maester from the free city of Pentos, but not much really depth about him.
How book stuff, so I really don't want to like pour into it.
We can leave it, but that's all right. But anyway, so those petrified eggs at some point when she's in the middle of a big fire after burning her husband's light, they hatch into actual dragons. Only a Targaryen could stand in that fire.
We also see she's fireproof.
Yeah.
Which is unique to the show.
Is and big in other scenes too. Yeah. Later on, so very.
That's how we wrap up season 1.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to season 2. I'm looking over you, Squeaks. You want to read through season 2?
Yeah, I will. All right. So season 2, Tyrion takes up the position of the Hand in hopes of reigning with Joffrey.
I hate Joffrey.
Stannis falls under the spell of the witch, Melisandre. Am I saying that right? Okay. And publicly lays claim to the throne on the basis of Joffrey's illegitimacy.
Yeah.
So
We have a couple new names there. Basically, Joffrey's being brought up, and he's a real player now.
yeah.
He's the son. We know, illegitimate son of Robert Baratheon and the son of Cersei and Jaime, her brother.
Yeah.
Because all of their kids have, and we know that Jaime is the father because the kids are blonde.
Yeah.
And all of Baratheon's history shows that their hair is supposed to be black.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Joffrey, and he's a little punk. I mean, if there's one person you wanted to see die the most, like, I don't care about the Night's King, I want Joffrey dead.
Oh yeah, he's
Especially when he killed brought the girl to the room. And just the arrows in her.
Dick move, man.
he's just sadistic.
And then Stannis.
Melisandre.
Yeah,
Am I saying that name?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Melisandre.
it's spelled a little funny, but yeah, it's that's how you say it.
That's the red hair.
The Red Witch.
Red Priestess.
Or Red Priestess.
Red Priest. Or, I
Yeah.
can't say that.
So, yeah.
Witch. Okay.
She's a member of this fire religion, basically, where they worship fire. They see fire as a way to see the future, and
Isn't it the god of light?
the god of light. Yeah. And they are preparing for this oncoming night, this other force coming, and so they're like trying to find their god, their king that'll lead them. The Azor Ahai.
Fulfill this prophecy coming.
Yeah, and they call it the Azor Ahai that'll lead them. Yeah, for the prophecy, the prince that was promised. And she feels at this time that it's Stannis. Stannis is Robert Baratheon's eldest brother, who wants to. He has a legitimate right to the throne. Actually, Joffrey's so he's actually the one that's supposed to be sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
But nobody likes him because he's like too serious and he's not like a likable person. So there's literally just Stannis who think that's a good idea, and Ned Stark did at the time, but he's missing a head now. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right, so Robb's armies progress to the south with Jaime Lannister of their prisoner of war. Robb sends Theon Greyjoy to seek an alliance with his father, Balon Greyjoy?
Balon.
I don't know saying these rings. Instead, Theon reunites with his family on the Iron Islands, and together they capture Winterfell. Bran is forced to escape to the wilderness.
That is some bullshit right there.
Yeah, that was one good thing that wasn't mentioned is when they escaped to the forest. You know, they ran off with Hodor and I can't remember her name.
Mira Reed.
Yeah,
Your brother Jojen.
but the Greyjoys that simulated their death? They went and found two other kids and killed them and tarred them and feathered them,
that's such
hung
a
them
crazy
up,
part.
and makes the rest of the family believe that their two younger brothers were murdered during this whole thing.
So again, we got some new names here. So Jaime's captured by Robb's army, that we know. But Theon there was a rebellion. The Greyjoys, about 7 years before these events, the Greyjoys tried to rebel against the other kingdoms and try to take them over, yada, yada, yada. They got smashed. And part of the deal of the peace treaty is we're taking your boy Theon, and he's going to be raised by the Warden of the North, Ned Stark.
Yeah, top respect and everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we're holding your kid hostage to make sure you guys don't do anything.
And so the next generation is brought up right and not rebellious.
Yeah, it's a little bit of column A, column B. Yeah, so so then when Robb trusts Theon, he grew up with Theon and says, why don't you go back to your Iron Islands, which is, the Greyjoys' home, and have them join me. He gets there and they're like, how dare you worship the people that captured you?
Yeah.
And so he wants to make his own father proud, Balon, and decides to invade Winterfell because he knows Winterfell inside and out. Robb left Winterfell. There's only Bran, this paralyzed kid who's really in charge of the place, there. So it's kind of an easy takeover.
Should have at least put one of your more respected bannermen there.
Well, the thing is, he needs full forces. He's going against the Lannisters.
True.
You don't expect... He shouldn't have trusted Theon.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, that betrayal was
For 7 years, they were raised as brothers, as far as he can see.
Yeah.
And he could see it in Theon that he respected him too. But then when he goes home to the family and gets corrupted by them, then he's turned by the way they see everything.
It just sucks because you really wanted more for Theon.
Yeah.
Theon's the most tragic character, even in season 7 when you're watching him.
That's pretty bad.
He's pretty tragic. It's unreal. You actually feel bad when he's being an asshole.
Yeah.
Not just for the people he's being an asshole to, but because you're it's corrupting him.
Yeah. But for those of you that seen season 7, at least there's a glimpse of redemption, or not even really redemption, but
I think season 6 is the most redemption.
There's closure.
Yeah.
So that's good.
All right, fire away, Sweets.
Robb also sends Catelyn out to meet with Renly. Am I saying her name right?
Yeah.
Okay. Renly Baratheon, the younger sibling of Stannis, who also has claim to the Iron Throne. Catelyn suggests the brothers join forces. Renly refuses and is murdered by an evil spirit dispatched by Melisandre.
That shit was crazy.
I super forgot about that.
Remember that?
Now.
So Stannis sleeps with Melisandre, and then she births a black spirit there, like a shadow spirit. That goes in there and murders him. And who sees it?
Brienne of Tarth.
Brianna, yeah. She sees
Another great character.
She sees Stannis' face in it though, right?
Yeah, so it has Stannis' face. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. But yeah, it's used to murder Renly. And she loves Renly. Like, she worships Renly because she's like this... In a world of, like, where the women are the maidens and everything like that, she's big, tough, strong, can beat, I'm going to say, any man, really. She holds
Pretty
her own
much.
against Jamie.
Yeah.
And so they call her beauty as a joke, like, oh, look at the beauty. But in Renly, when they were kids, Renly, who is gay, he doesn't care about women.
Yeah.
He danced with her, just kind of like, shut up, boys, and let me show you how to be nice and noble.
Yeah.
So he dances with her, and since then she has vowed her allegiance to him.
Yeah.
Even as kids, she's like, that man right there. She actually loved him. That man right there is a good knight, and so she followed him.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where, like, it broke her, so she ends up vowing to help Catelyn at that point.
Yeah.
But it broke her because everybody assumes Brienne is the one that killed Renly.
Why did she vow to help Catelyn at that point? I can't remember.
I don't remember exactly the transition there,
Okay.
but I think it was because Catelyn went to hide her. Or something like that.
Yeah, and Catelyn was supporting Renly in
Yeah.
his push for the throne, so maybe that was part of it too.
Right.
And she lost her children. She supported her in saying, I will help bring back your kids, your daughters.
Yeah, that was the vow she made with the oath. One little side thing I want to mention: my favorite characters introduced in this season, Davos. He is the right hand man to Stannis.
Onion Knight.
The Onion Knight, exactly. He gets that nickname because when they were sieged at one point, Davos, who was like the best smuggler in the world, was able to smuggle them onions to keep them alive. And then he's always the man who like steps up and like vows for the leaders and stuff like that. He makes it. And what happened is he ends up losing 3 of his fingers. Davos does, because that's the payment for being a smuggler.
Yeah.
And then promoted to Hand of the King for Stannis. So it's just like this like dichotomy out of Stannis is like he's super legitimate, like he's overly by the book. And Davos loves it. Davos is just he's like this guy who's got the smuggler pirate background,
Yeah.
and yet is now a
very-
full-fledged knight.
He's a smuggler, but not for his own personal gain, but for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
He's a very respected man.
He's just I really
Yeah.
enjoy Davos. He's my favorite.
Yeah, and I remember several times where he would question. He wouldn't just follow blindly, but he would at least ask his leaders to
Especially,
second guess their decisions when he doesn't think they're
Because
right.
we're seeing Stannis follow the Red Priestess to
Yeah.
a fanatic degree.
Yeah.
And Davos is like, you're putting your men in the fire. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so he's trying to like lead him down the correct path.
Yeah.
And then when we see him change his positioning on stuff, it's just Davos, of anybody in the show, he's the one I'd follow to the flames. He's so awesome.
Very, very much a man of integrity.
Yeah.
Catelyn's and Renly's bodyguard, Brienne of Tarth, are accused of the assassination and forced to flee. Am I saying that wrong?
No, you
No,
said
that's
it right.
right.
We should
We
shut
just
up because
started-
you're about to
yeah.
read what we were talking about.
Sorry.
Uniting with Robb once more, the women conspire to have Jaime return to King's Landing in the hopes of swapping him for Sansa.
Yeah, that was a huge betrayal. So it was a huge betrayal and everything like that, and basically, Catelyn turned on Robb, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
I guess yeah. They split.
They
they
were
weren't-
two different decisions. And Robb wanted to keep Jaime because he's a very valuable trading or a bargaining chip, and then
Yeah.
traded him out for she wanted to trade him for the 2 girls.
Yeah.
He's saying like, we have no proof he's coming back.
Yeah.
And so it was just like a desperate plea from my mom. And so it was just crazy, but it's too bad.
Okay. At the wall, Jon Snow uncovers evidence of infant sacrifices at Caster's Keep and defects from the Night's Watch to join the wildlings at the orders of Halfhand. Arya is captured by Lannister soldiers, imprisoned at the castle of Harrenhal. I'm so horrible at these names. And taken on as the servant by Patriarch. No, I'm screwing this up.
Tywin Lannister.
Tywin Lannister, who believes her to be a boy. She escapes with the aid of Jaqen. I forget that guy.
I don't know that one either.
Jack and Hagar. Go ahead.
Jacket.
One of the faceless men of Essos.
That was a good bit of action in that though.
This made me only care about Arya's storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the whole
It
face
kind of
thing.
launched her because she was
Oh
nobody
my
for a
God.
while.
Yeah.
She was a prisoner.
Now
then
she's nobody again.
She realized, she realized that she can just keep her hair short and hide in the group as a boy and not be treated like a girl. But then when she gets brought in by Jaqen, is
Yeah, this made her my favorite character as of right now.
She's
Well, as
so
of this
awesome.
point on,
Yeah.
like all I care about her. I don't care about anybody else's stories right now. But yeah, I don't want to see her
And
do
then
some more.
another big part of, as I said, out of this is Jon Snow. He's with this guy Halfhand, who's like this legendary ranger of the Night's Watch. They're about to be captured by the Wildlings, and he says, "Look, the best thing we can do is from the inside get close to Mance Rayder, who's the leader of the Wildlings, and kill him.
Yeah.
Because again, they all still think it's the Wildlings, not the not the White Walkers.
Yeah. They think that's their threat.
Right. So Halfhand tells him, fight me and kill me, looking like you're betraying the Night's Watch,
Yeah.
so that you can join the Wildlings and get close to Mance Rayder and kill him.
Yeah. Because he
This
knows
is
that
crazy.
otherwise they're all just gonna get murdered, right?
Yeah, I think this might be the first time. Well, we've seen other times where he stands up to authority, he's protecting Sam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is like one of the first times we see one of the Starks, Jon Snow specifically, have to bend the rules
Yeah.
to get what's actually right.
Yeah.
What Ned Stark wouldn't have done. What Ned Stark probably would have been better if Ned Stark would have shut his mouth, let Joffrey become the new king, and then just try to help out and be a good hand to the king.
Yeah.
And try to steer.
Or let him
Instead,
be-
he tried to do what was by the books right and died for it and then threw the kingdom into chaos.
Yeah.
This is where John's like seeing that, look, sometimes you have to do what's wrong to make sure what's right is done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Stannis attempts to invade King's Landing by sea, but his forces are defeated in a naval battle by Tyrion's cunning use of wildfire.
That's my boy Tyrion.
That was a pretty awesome battle too.
Yeah, so they invade by sea. There's a bay. All of Stannis' ships come in, led by Davos, who is the Navy commander, and Davos' sons are all on these boats. Anyways, they get in there. Tyrion had been pouring wildfire, which is just like basically it's like gas that can ignite and stays burning.
Explosive oil.
Yeah. They all get in there. They explode the bay. They turn the water to fire and destroy the ships. And it's a win, showing that Tyrion, who is I don't know if we mentioned it before, he is a dwarf. So everybody kind of like looks down on him and stuff like that. But he is so cunning and so smart, and we just boom, we see it again.
Yeah. What is his saying? When they ask him, what did they ask him?
What do you do? Is that
Yeah. He says, "I drink and I know things."
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's always just reading books and drinking wine.
T-shirt.
You do?
Yeah.
I have one that says, "Real heroes don't wear capes; they hold the door."
Oh man, have you seen this? I know I gotta go off topic.
We're gonna get to
Have
that
you
scene
seen
at
this
some
door
point.
stoppers that say Hodor on them?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I need one for my office.
Have you seen where they put the sticker on the on elevators where it's this whole door? They put stickers of Hodor's face on those.
No way.
Yeah, people are putting those stickers.
Oh
That's
my
good.
god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, across the narrow sea, Daenerys arrives at Qarth.
Qarth.
Okay. Hoping to gain support for her invasion of Westeros, she ends up in prison in the House of the Undying, along with her dragons, after being drawn into whatever
Usurpation
plots.
plot?
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to
She
usurp.
eventually escapes the pillage and pillages the city. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Daenerys basically she's looking for funding and everything like that to get across the ocean. She gets to Qarth, which is like the super rich merchant city.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
I was thinking those two.
She gets betrayed by this warlock guild, and they try to because they want the dragons. Everyone wants the dragons. They're more valuable than a fleet. So they keep telling her like, "We'll give you a fleet. We want at least one dragon."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, fuck you
Like,
guys."
no, those are my
because
children.
she was trying to free the slaves, right? And then that.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah. She
This
doesn't
is
have that
Before
yet.
she realized that
Okay.
was such an issue over there, right?
We're in a point now where Daenerys is still growing as a character, and so right now she's only got one thing, and it's carrying on her older brother Viserion, who had died earlier. Who the idea was like, we just need to get our throne back. We just need to get our throne back.
So he was
and
trying
she's
to get
learning more.
He was trying to get the Dothraki horde to go with him
Yeah,
across the sea and
because normally
Take
she would
back
have to
Westeros.
marry Viserion, but he decided I will sell her instead to the Dothraki,
yeah.
get their army to go
Yeah.
invade. But it was like you couldn't pick a worse army to do that with. They don't
Yeah.
go across the oceans.
Yeah.
So it was
And they
really a tough one.
don't honor trades.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, she's mine. What did you want now? Okay, go away.
All right, and Squeaks is gonna you have to head out.
Yes, I do have to head out.
All right,
I would
thank
love
you
to
for
stay,
joining us.
but I do have to hit it up at an appointment. So
Yeah, it's all good,
yes.
man.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right, next up we have season 3, and I'll do the reading for this. Tyrion is demoted from hand to hand by Tywin, who blames Tyrion for causing his wife's death at childbirth, and forces him to marry Sansa. Joffrey is meanwhile engaged to Margaery Tyrell, Renly's widow, in hopes of establishing a Lannister-Tyrell alliance.
Yeah, that was interesting. I like that we see Tyrion. I mean, of course, Sansa's a young wife and attractive and whatnot,
Right.
and he could have taken advantage of her, but he knew that she's a noble woman of a noble family, and I'm not gonna. She's in a horrible situation, so he gives her that respect and gives her space and doesn't try to act as her husband or anything like that. Just
Yeah, I think it's really important because it shows Tyrion is not another Lannister, and the most important thing is it shows it to Sansa,
yeah,
who later on may become important, and we need that idea of like, look, Tyrion's not like them.
yeah,
So we've seen that, and then it also brings in Marjorie, who is part of the Tyrell family.
Yeah.
They're a very wealthy family. They basically feed the other 7 kingdoms. They have so much food, which makes them very wealthy. And so the Joffrey is engaged to her to create a new alliance. The Lannisters, who are notoriously rich, their gold mines have actually started to dry up. So Tywin, the very smart patriarch of the Lannisters,
yeah,
sees this as an opportunity to bring wealth back into the family.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows that they're running out of gold except for him.
yeah.
So he's like trying to keep it on the DL.
But when their gold mines dry up, the farmland and whatnot that you guys have is limitless. It's not going to run out. You just keep working it, right? So
Right, yeah.
it's a
It's a better
continuous
business
source
model.
a continuous resource.
Yeah. All right, next up, beyond the wall, Jon Snow encounters the wildling leader, Mance Rayder, who anticipates a battle to the death with the White Walkers. Snow finds himself in a complex relationship with his one-time prisoner, Ygritte, which Ygritte is spelled so hard. It's Ygritte.
Yeah,
When I first began reading these and stuff like that...
you called her Griddle.
Griddle. I kept calling her Griddle.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's Griddle.
yeah, just because it looks like it. Like it's a
Yeah,
jumble.
there's no L in there, I realized, but yeah.
Yeah,
So what we're seeing is here, this is the first time we've seen the wildlings have a deeper personality. They're not just like, oh, we're savages that are raiding everything.
yeah.
No, they're trying to get to the wall, then on the other side of the wall, because they want the wall's protection against the real problem, the White Walkers.
So how long ago have they always known of the White Walkers, the wildlings, or is this just something more recent that they're?
Because Craster's, who is this guy who lives up north of the wall, he's less wildlings, but he's living up there.
Because he was
He's
a
been giving
defected
his sons.
He was a defected crow, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mance Rayder is.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Craster.
Okay.
Mance Rayder used to be a Night's Watchman who left the Night's Watch, and he's dangerous to the Night's Watch. Everybody wants him dead because the Wallings are these small tribes, but he's gathering the tribes up and uniting them.
Yeah.
And the Night's Watch think it's for a huge invasion on the Night's Watch, and kind of, but they really just want to get south of the wall. They're doing that for protection.
Yeah.
So Mance Rayder is actually trying to save them all. And then there's this woman that Jon Snow's gone back and forth of capturing and then being captured by her. And Ygritte, and they're starting to fall in love.
Yeah.
One thing that's funny is because of this relationship on the show, they actually get married in real life.
No way.
Yeah, they're actually married.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
they had a really cool wedding. He's like in a kilt and everything like that. So.
nice.
Robb decides against marrying Rosalind Frey after falling in love with Talisa, a healer. Nevertheless, the Starks are invited to a wedding of his uncle and Rosalind Frey, which turns out to be a trap sprung by Rosalind's resentful father, Lord Walder Frey. Screw that guy. Robb, Catelyn, and the pregnant Talisa and their bannermen are butchered at the reception with the blessings of the Lannister.
God, that was such a heartbreaking episode.
It
Goes to
really
show you,
is.
love ruins everything. Just kidding.
Wow, what a bad takeaway.
But yeah, I remember the Red Wedding. That was.
That's what it's called, Red Wedding, yeah.
Red Wedding, yeah. I remember the good music they did with that. That wasn't like
The Reigns of Castamere, man.
Yeah.
So let's kind of give a little bit broader explanation of this.
Yes.
In season 1, to get past this bridge, it's owned by this family called the Freys. They made a deal that Robb would marry one of the daughters.
Yeah.
But Robb falls in love, so he doesn't want to marry Rosalind.
And the Frey house has tons of daughters, right?
They got a ton.
He's trying to trade off
the
his
old
kids to
man
everybody.
just keeps going at it.
Yeah.
Props to him and his stamina.
Yeah.
But so Robb falls in love with this Talisa, so he breaks his contract that he has. The idea is that, okay, well then you'll marry my uncle instead. Rosalind will marry my uncle instead.
Yeah, so she'll
Everything's
still be a
still
royal
good.
family.
Yeah, Problem is Walder Frey, he's just a jerk.
Yeah.
He makes a deal with the Lannisters instead, of course, the main villains of the Starks. And when they come and bring him to this wedding, everybody's going to be happy and they'll kill him. In on this plan is Roose Bolton, who is one of the bannermen of the Stark, who wants to take over the Starks and get promotion, take out your boss so that you can be promoted, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he's there. One of my favorite things that you're talking about is the band's playing, and all of a sudden they play this song called "The Reigns of Castamere." We hear it throughout the show whenever Lannister does something awesome.
Yeah.
And it is a song that is meant to talk about this one time the Lannisters killed another family. So it's always played whenever they do something cool.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a mafia boss. What do you call that? Where they do a bunch of clips over time.
Yeah, The Godfather does this
yeah.
scene. It's kind of a prep to that.
Yeah.
But
That's really
so anyway, so the music changes. Catelyn starts to realize this. She realizes that Roose has armor underneath his or chainmail underneath his clothes.
Yeah.
So he's actually ready for battle.
Mm-hmm.
And they get worried, and then they spring the trap, and they kill all three of them. Super heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
They even kill Robb Stark's wolf.
Yeah.
They mount the head to Robb Stark's body.
That's only in the book, right?
No, that's in the show.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So it's super depressing.
Yeah.
All right, the killings are witnessed by Arya, who finds a reluctant protector in Sandor Clegane, the Hound is what he's known as. For his part in the massacre, the treacherous Roose Bolton is made Warden of the North. So what we're seeing here is Arya has teamed up with the Hound, who was the bodyguard of Joffrey, but during the battle with all the fire, he's afraid of fire, he ditched it.
Yeah.
And we'll go into that farther later on.
Very cool character.
Yeah, very, very cool character. And so they're about to show up, and they see, oh, wait, something's wrong here. They see the betrayal happen, and it's heartbreaking. And then, Roose Bolton is promoted to now the Warden of the North. He's now leader of the North, and his bastard starts heading in. Elsewhere, Bran Stark discovers he can project himself into the bodies of a direwolf. Bran and Jaime continue their journey south, and Daenerys gathers an army of 8,000 Unsullied in the east.
That's a lot.
Might be my favorite. I mean, there's so many good Daenerys stuff. Might be my favorite part of
When she,
Daenerys' storyline is the getting the Unsullied.
Remind me how she did that. I remember she got them and then she conquered the city, right?
So Daenerys doesn't have a lot of cash at this point.
Yeah.
She does have 3 dragons.
Yeah.
She tells this slave trader, the Unsullied are they're all eunuchs. They're the best soldiers in the world.
Trained from child.
You could slice them and they'll stand there and bleed to death unless you tell them to move.
Yeah.
So they're the best soldiers in the world. And this is what she needs. She needs an army. So she says, okay, I'll trade you 1 dragon for your slave army of the Unsullied.
Yeah.
There's a staff that means you control the Unsullied, right? So they make the deal, and she grabs the staff and everything like that. Now she owns the slaves. She owns the Unsullied. She tells the Unsullied, I am your leader. I am your owner, but I'm freeing you all, and I'm asking you to take over this city. She then tells her dragon, who she just sold, Dracarys, which in Valyrian means fire, burn. And the dragon starts burning shit down. The Unsullied invade the city that they're in. They take over the city full of slaves. They grab more Unsullied up. You assume.
She learns to speak their language to say that, right? Doesn't she say it?
That's one. Yeah. So what's
in,
funny is the slave trader is talking to his translator, Melisandre. Melisandre. No, that's not it.
I can't remember her name either, though.
It's later on in my notes.
Yeah, but she continues as her translator.
Right, and so, but the whole time, and so the guy's like, oh, this whore, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which Dany knows it the whole time, and then unveils it then that she knows it.
Yeah.
So it's just this really awesome, let it burn. And then that's the first time we hear Dany's, which Dany is the short for Daenerys, Dany's, theme music for when she's kicking badass.
Yeah.
It's this boom, and kicks in real heavy, like that. Oh yeah, bring on the Targaryen pain.
And that was our first time of seeing. I think it was the first time of us seeing her. What do you call it? Like mercy or choosing to help protect the people by not protecting. She's doing a lot of damage, but freeing the Unsullied instead of just commanding them as slaves to take over the city.
Yeah,
I give you freedom now. I ask of you as your leader to go attack and free the city.
I'm not sure exactly the order. Maybe she had commanded them to, but saying she's gonna. The key is that this is when she learns that slavery is terrible. She learns that the Unsullied, to become an Unsullied, the last thing they have to do is they're given 1 copper basically. Yeah. Go down to the poor area, buy a baby for the 1 copper, and kill the baby in front of the mom.
Yeah.
To finalize the fact they have no emotions.
Yeah.
And so she's learning that for the 8,000 soldiers, that's 8,000 babies that had just died.
Yeah.
And she's tired of this problem. So this whole region is really big in the slave trade, and she's gonna bring it down before she leaves.
Yeah.
We're seeing Dany step out of the role of what Viserion wanted of just taking their throne back into I have to do this. It's what is right.
Yeah, she's developing her own purpose.
Yeah, which is who we love.
Huge, yeah.
All right, season 4, Jonathan. I know we got to get through a lot of these, and we're at 44 minutes so far.
Oh my god, I'll try to go faster. All right, Joffrey meets his end after being served poisoned wine at his wedding to Marjorie. Sansa is smuggled to freedom with the assistance of Littlefinger, who takes her to Lysa Arryn. anything major? I mean, that was great.
I mean, that
Love
is
to see
major.
Joffrey
Joffrey
die.
finally died,
Yeah.
and one of the most gruesome deaths on the show. He's like
Yeah.
purple and choking and
Yeah.
scratching at his neck.
Yeah.
And then we see Littlefinger bring away. It's made to look like Littlefinger's the one that did the poisoning, which he was in on the plan. And Littlefinger hides Sansa.
Mhm.
The overarching thing over this is Littlefinger has a lot of plans,
Yeah.
and so whenever he does something, it's for a purpose. He also used to like Catelyn, which is Sansa's mom,
Yeah.
and so there's a little thing there, like, oh, maybe he's starting to ship with
Since she
Sansa.
just got murdered, maybe, yeah, he's moving on.
Yeah.
All right. Aaron proves to be an unfit guardian of Sansa. Was that right, Aaron?
Lysa Arryn, yeah.
Lysa Arryn, okay. Proves to be an unfit guardian of Sansa, having lost her mind. She's killed by Littlefinger, Baelish, whom she expects to marry, after she attempts to push Sansa to her death through the moon door at the Vale, which is, we know, the big hole on the ground they can open and close the door. They battle in that kind of not arena,
It's
that
it's
courtyard
like a
kind of
throne room.
area.
Yeah.
Throne room, yeah. And so they'll push a body out of there or battle and fight each other to push one or the other in there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's an open cliff through the floor.
But yeah, so Peter ends up throwing her out that because she was about to kill Sansa. She's jealous of Sansa because she thinks that she's just losing her mind.
Yeah.
At this point, how old is her son Robin?
Like 14 or 12 or
Well, I'm gonna say 12.
maybe not 14.
And 12 is still at 12 and
still drinking milk off his
still
mom.
drinking milk off the mama, which is
Yeah.
like, okay, you are batshit.
Yeah, she's crazy. He's crazy. He's the acting king, right? Isn't he
He is the Lord of the Vale.
Lord of the Vale? Yeah. Which is, he just wants to see people fly. He
He
wants
just-
to see people get thrown through the moon door.
Let him fly, which means he wants to see them through the. That's freaking nuts. That kid is nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. What's next?
All right, Jamie, who has since lost his hand.
Yep.
Real quick, do you remember how he lost his hand? I can't remember.
There was a group of mercenaries basically that were going to bring him to Stannis, and then they switch.
Okay.
Anyways, they're bringing him to Stannis, then to Tywin. But they cut off his hand,
God.
just to be dicks, basically.
Yeah, I can't remember that scene. But
It is his sword hand, and he's the best sword fighter in Westeros.
Yeah.
And they cut off his sword fighting hand, which changes Jaime's outlook a lot from here on
changes
out.
his character, his motives. All right, so Jamie and Brienne arrive at King's Landing to find Sansa has escaped. Brienne, now a knight errant, is tasked with taking down the missing Stark.
One thing that's really cool about
tracking down,
this
sorry.
is there was a sword that was in the Stark family called Ice.
Yeah.
It was a giant sword. It was Ned Stark's sword.
The one that he beheaded the traitor in the first episode of first season.
Yeah. And it's made out of Valyrian steel, which, just a short of it is it's a magical steel that nobody knows how to make anymore.
Isn't it forged from Dragon's Fire?
There's a lot of rumors that it has runes in it too.
Yeah.
And so Tywin has it melted into two different swords. One of them is Widow's Wail, which is given to Joffrey, which is a perfect name because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
The other one is called Oathkeeper, which is given to Jaime. Jaime gives that sword to Brienne. That's a symbol of saying, look, I promised Catelyn that I'd find her kids. I'm giving you Oathkeeper to keep my oath and find Sansa and protect her.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a really emotional part because this entire time we're on the road, Brienne and Jaime are becoming closer.
Yeah.
We're starting to see through this asshole version of Jaime into the idea of like, he's famous for killing the king. Well, he killed the king because the king was going to burn down all of King's Landing. He's going to murder millions probably.
Yeah. The worst thing he's done is really just following his family.
Right.
Doing what his sister and his dad ordered.
Very complicated character God, our opinions on him changed so much.
And at this point, we see him hopeless because when he's traveling back with her, his hand's missing. He thinks he's gonna just die in the journey. If I'm pretty sure he's told Brienne a couple times, just put me out of my misery. When they're going there, and then he's like, if I do make it, I'm useless anyways. I'm just a pile of meat because I can't, fight without my hand. Yeah. Even though we know he learns to fight with his left hand just almost as good as his right, or he's already has this.
He works on it. He's never at the same, but he is a hell of a good leader.
Yeah. All right, sorry. I will continue. A distraught Cersei blames Tyrion for Joffrey's assassination when his champion Oberyn Martell, really cool character, is defeated in a trial by combat against Gregor the Mountain Clegane. Tyrion is imprisoned once more. So that was a really cool battle scene too. I hate that they killed off Oberyn so early in his character.
The Red Viper.
Yeah. It was really good.
So Oberyn Martell, the Martell family, they're part of the southernmost part of the kingdom. And they're very big on poisons and whips, and they have like a whole different fighting style.
He did poison the mountain, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And that's why he's called the Red Viper, the Viper part of it.
Yeah.
All his daughters, he has like a bunch of daughters, and they're all excellent fighters of different tools, little daggers and stuff like that. Really awesome family. They're not given enough in the show, but they're really cool.
Yeah.
We see here that Tyrion's blamed for Joffrey's murder. It was not Tyrion's fault. We learn later on, and of course, there's another trial by combat. Oberyn defends Tyrion, and the Mountain is defending the Lannister name.
Yeah.
They fight, and it's one of those things where the Mountain is poisoned, so he will die, but he ends up crushing the head of Oberyn Martell, and Oberyn dies first, so Tyrion's found guilty. At this point, let's go ahead and mention who the Mountain is. Okay. The Mountain and the Hound, they're brothers, and they are bannermen to the Lannisters. The Mountain is this guy who is enormous.
Huge,
He's got to be like 7 feet tall. Yeah, okay. He's literally a mountain. The Hound, who is also huge but not as big as his brother.
He's probably 7 feet, 7.5.
Right? He's notorious because he has burnt half of his face. That's why he's afraid of fire. The reason his face was burnt, he was playing with, when they were kids, he was playing with one of the Mountain's toys. The Mountain was upset about it, took his face and put it in the flames of the fire pit there. Therefore, always creating this rivalry between the two. They hate each other so much.
So he's always vowed. The Hound's always vowed that I'm going to kill my brother someday. Yeah.
And the Mountain is like unstoppable. He is like the lapdog to the Lannisters. Yeah. So it's this problem. And then now that the Hound left, everybody's expecting the two to fight someday. So that'll be in the next episode.
And we see a lot of the Hound was originally such a crass, harsh. Bitter old man, pretty much what we see, and they'll just kill anybody for the nickel that they got on him or something like that. Yeah. But we see his character develop a lot as he travels with Arya.
He's getting a lot of regret. That's one of these great things about the show is there's so much more depth in each of these characters that we find. Jaime's, there's a lot more behind what you first see, so it's pretty interesting.
Yep. All right. Where am I? Okay. Freed by Jaime, Tyrion discovers his father in bed with his mistress Shae and executes him by crossbow on the latrine before departing King's Landing. Tyrion crosses the narrow sea in the hope of meeting Daenerys, whom he believes can defeat Cersei.
Yeah.
So that was heartbreaking because we see Tyrion is with whores throughout his time, but he fell in love with Shae and he paid her to just continuously stay with him, kind of like his brotherly relationship he had with Bronn somewhat for a while. Like he's a dwarf, he doesn't have the physical appeal of most people, so he'll, as a Lannister, just pay for the company of somebody. So
and then of course his father's always put him down because he blames him for killing the mom, everything like that, and he's just not happy that he's living up to the Lannister name.
Explain that more. He didn't go stab his mom.
At birth,
his mom died. Yeah,
at birth, the mom died, and there's all kinds of side story too. Like the mom probably cheated with the Targaryen. We'll talk about that next episode. We're talking about predictions and theories. We'll talk about all that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so that's just a theory.
So Tyrion crosses the sea to Cersei.
So Tyrion goes across the ocean after this, and he's going to try to team up with Daenerys to take out the Lannisters.
All right. Roose Bolton returns to Winterfell from the Red Wedding to find that his vicious son Ramsay Bolton had tortured Theon to the point of madness, so much so that he now answers to the name Reek.
This is where we start feeling bad again for Theon, who has betrayed the Lannisters, but he's become like a crazy pet to Bolton.
It was so sad. It was just like, you should have killed him like weeks ago. He's just peeling back his skin, mutilating him, let him think he's going to be free for a second, and then just beat him or
Ramsay's cutting off pieces, we'll just say, of Theon,
important
the
pieces.
most valuable pieces
of
manly
Theon
pieces. To ship back to his family. Yeah. I mean, it's just messed up. He is sadistic. Yeah. Worse than Joffrey, I would argue.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. In the north, Jon Snow returns from the Wildling camp to warn the Night's Watch of Mance Rayder's advancing forces, who duly lay siege to the Castle Black. Stannis Baratheon's remaining men ride to the rescue, now backed by the financiers of the Iron Bank.
This is one of the best battles we've seen at this point. So it's a battle at the wall. The Wildlings are attacking the wall. They have giants. They have
catapults, right?
Catapults. Yeah. They have what are the big woolly mammoths? They got mammoths that are going and stuff like that. Yeah. The wall, we're seeing the wall's defenses. They have like this big sliding chain and all stuff like that. Really cool fight. But it gets down to the point where Jon Snow's going to go out there, meet with Mance Rayder for one last chance to stab him. And then here comes this horse army out of nowhere. And it's Stannis Baratheon who decided, instead of going and trying to regain his forces and attack King's Landing again, he knows from the Red Priestess that there's a bigger threat out there, and it's the
Yeah.
White Walkers.
Yeah.
So he goes to help defend the Night's Watch. It's the most redeeming moment for Stannis so far.
Yeah.
Stannis, Davos, Melisandre, they're all there.
Was this after the scene with his daughter though?
No, that's coming up next.
Okay.
That is the biggest fall of Stannis.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not a good guy.
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
but this is a moment when you see those horses roll in, when you think
Yeah.
Jon's going to go out there and die, when you see those horses roll in, it is a moment where you're just like,
Yeah.
wow, thank goodness for Stannis. He might actually be a good backer for the Iron Throne.
Because they mention it kind of loosely in different parts of the show that the true king of Westeros, the king of the Seven Kingdoms, isn't going to be whoever beheads the next king or kills enough of the other guys. It's whoever protects the realm, whoever keeps the majority of everybody
Yeah.
safe and proves that they're a good leader, good
Stannis
ruler.
is the first person to think that.
Yeah, so
It's
instead
awesome.
of turning to just start another fight, more bloodshed, and cut our troops in half,
Yeah.
let's just turn and direct ourselves to protect the life, protect the living.
And strategically, it's a good idea because then you get hearts and minds. You get the
Yeah.
North on your side, stuff like
Yeah.
that. They always want to know what the wall's up to.
Yeah.
All right, last piece of
All right.
season 4.
Arya and the Hound are found by Brienne, who defeats Clegane in battle.
The Hound, yeah.
The Hound, yeah. Arya runs away to study under the mysterious
Jaqen.
How do you say his last name?
Hagar.
Hagar. Oh, that's
At the House
complicated.
of Black and White
Yeah.
in Bravos.
In Bravos.
So she's going
So-
across the Narrow Sea, kind of the same continent, anyways, of Daenerys. Not in the same area, but same
Yeah,
continent of Daenerys.
Much farther north, right?
Farther east.
Oh, okay.
The key with this is that we won't go into a lot of details because we're actually running really long on time as well.
Yeah.
But
she's trained by the Faceless Men to be. a Faceless
she's trained
Man.
by an assassin group. Yeah. It's shown as the actor Jaqen Hagar, but basically these guys can change faces. It becomes later
Yeah.
on important.
So the whole time
really, we
she
don't
could have
know.
been. Every time she saw him, it could have been a different person.
It could be a completely different person. So it's not even necessarily Jaqen Hagar.
And that's kind of the point of their group is that
Yeah.
you're nobody. You
Yeah.
don't really exist
yeah.
to blend in with crowds, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love this show so much. All right, so we're into season 5, guys. We're gonna try to pick up the pace just a hair.
Yeah.
Stannis has defeated Mance Raider, and burnt at the stakes. Jon Snow is elected the leader of the Night's Watch, to the disapproval of the elders in the guard. Stannis is later convinced by Melisandre, here it is, to sacrifice his daughter to appease the Lord of Light and hold the winter off. And in burning his daughter, he loses a ton of respect.
Yeah, that's just a devastating scene. You're like, how manipulated are you? How can you completely lose? And his wife was in the same boat. She didn't turn against him, but she's like, oh, you know what?
His
If that's
wife's a bigger
believer than he
in-
is.
Yeah.
She's like, if that's what the Lord of Light wants, then we must do it. They burnt their, was it like 7 or 8-year-old
She
daughter?
was such a darling.
Yeah,
too.
sweet little girl. She just want to play with her little toy.
Davos had to read.
Yeah, and Davos
Oh.
Davos loved her. He was so betrayed when
Yeah.
he found that he had done that.
Best.
I was surprised
Yeah.
he didn't kill Stannis for such an action.
Davos lost all his sons in the Battle of the Bay, and so he had almost like adopted this as the little girl that taught him how to read. He was like a little guardian to her.
Yeah.
And then to see that his king that he had worshipped do this, he lost all faith in him.
Yeah, and so did
And
most of
hates
his.
Melisandre too,
Yeah.
who convinced him to do it. Now he vows to kill Melisandre,
Yeah.
which even in season 7 is a problem.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no problem. Littlefinger leads Sansa to Ramsay Bolton, that asshole, with the intention of marrying them, an event that would mean the return of a Starks to Winterfell. So we're getting the Starks coming back to Winterfell and the fact that Sansa's back.
Yeah.
Problem is she's going to marry Ramsay, who is a rapist and a murderer.
And a psycho. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Littlefinger claims he doesn't know how bad Ramsay is. Whatever. He's just doing this for what's best for his you know.
We
money.
realize that chaos is what he thrives in.
His saying is literally chaos is a ladder
Yeah.
because he climbs that
And that
ladder.
makes a lot of sense when you look back at what he does throughout the show.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
kinds of shit. All right, Stannis arrives to fight the Boltons, but is easily dispatched when his men desert over the doubts about his pagan zealotry. He likes the Lord of Light too much.
Yeah.
He is slain by Brienne, the badass, who has followed Sansa to Winterfell. As Melisandre escapes to Castle Black, Sansa manages to escape Ramsay's clutches with the help of Theon. Redeeming moment for Theon.
Yeah. True.
So, the big part is this is a redeeming moment for Theon. Melisandre goes back to Castle Black. She'll be needed soon, unfortunately.
Brienne cuts down Stannis.
Stannis is gone.
Because she always blamed him and was seeking revenge for Renly's murder of
Yeah.
that shadow spirit thing.
And this gives the Boltons more oomph. You know,
Yeah.
like now they hey, we just took out one of the Baratheons. We're good.
Yeah.
At King's Landing, Cersei is conspiring against her daughter-in-law Marjorie, who's becoming like the queen that everybody loves. She's always going to the orphanage.
She's really good at playing the people. She's good at playing that manipulative game.
She's so good at PR.
Another Littlefinger.
Who was subsequently married Joffrey's naive younger brother Tommen, now king. Tommen, he is the nicest of all the Lannisters, I think.
Yeah,
has
completely innocent.
no evil bone in his body.
Yeah.
He's just trying to be a good king.
Just like his sister who died too.
His cat is Sir Pounce.
Yeah.
It is adorable, this little cat. The writers had revealed recently that Cersei had Sir Pounce killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty
dick move.
Pretty messed up.
That's like a side thing that's not going to be mentioned in the show, but they made sure the writers like, yeah, Cersei had that cat killed.
Yeah.
What a bitch.
And so we see in that time period too that Marjorie is helping use the Sparrow. No, what is it called? The religious cult group in the city that's kind of taken
the
over.
High Sparrow.
High Sparrow. That's what it is.
To lock down the fellowship of the poorer people.
Yeah, and to isolate the Cersei and the royalty because they have to follow new rules now if that religious group controls the city.
Next up, after weaponizing the High Sparrow, the leader of the puritanical group, Cersei's sexual hypocrisy is soon exposed as she is forced to enact a humiliating, naked walk of penance through the streets of the capital.
Yeah.
So this is a moment that we've seen time and time again in pop culture where she's walking down, they're all yelling shame at her.
Yeah,
she has to do it fully naked. She has to do it basically from the church to the capital, and they're all throwing.
And her feet are bleeding by the time she gets there.
Yeah, and this is like, it's funny because normally this would be a humbling moment, and I think it might be the moment that just makes her made of steel now.
Yeah, it built a fire inside her that could never be ignited or
extinguished. Daenerys, and then one thing that's important too is when she gets to the capital, she Qyburn, who is this guy who's been kind of around, he's like this mad scientist kind of guy.
Is a Maester, isn't he? But he's not
a real Maester.
Oh, okay.
He was trying to be a Maester, but he went too much into the black magic, so they said no, you're not.
Failed Maester.
Yeah, so it's even crazier. He meets her. He's like, "Oh, let me show you to the new Sir Robert Strong, which is actually a zombie version of the Mountain who died from the poison. So he's even stronger now because he's got zombie strength.
Oh, God,
he's crazy.
He keeps his helmet on. You could see through it, kind of some decayed skin, dark eyes, but he doesn't talk. But he still works as her perfect servant. Does anything she says.
Takes orders, and that's all he does.
Yeah, and he's huge.
Daenerys takes over the city of Meereen with an unsullied army. However, she struggles to retain control of the desert slave city when an anonymous collective known as the Sons of the Harpy rise up against her. After a battle between her guards and the Harpies, one of Daenerys' dragons, Drogon by the way, whisks her away into the midst of a Dothraki horde. So Daenerys takes over the city of Meereen. It's a beautiful city who has a people that are there that have been there for centuries, who all live and die by the slave trade.
Yeah.
She comes in and says, hey, the slave trade's gone.
Yeah.
And in that process, the rich family, the slaves are fine with it, but the rich families start a
cult.
militant group, cult within the city to try to fight her off. At one of the fighting pits, she's attacked, and Drogon comes in because the dragons are free at this moment. They're running around and getting a little too big, a little worrisome.
Eating as much as they want.
Yeah, so during the attack, Tyrion is there now. Remember everybody, and we have Mormont there. The dragon comes in, picks her up. She flies off. It's the first time we see somebody fly on one of the dragons, which becomes a regular thing later on. And he takes a few spears in him, so he's injured. So he has to land in a field.
Yeah.
The Dothraki show up and capture her.
Now at that point, I remember vaguely.
Sorry, real quick. I don't want to confuse people. She has Dothraki that are following her.
Yeah.
But after Khal Drogo died, a lot of the Dothraki left because they follow only the strong.
Yeah.
So she is seen as weaker when they leave, and now they're back to capture.
And there's multiple tribes of Dothraki, right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Now in that field, didn't she drop something that was later found by somebody else as a sign that she was there? I can't remember. I thought she dropped like something from her hair.
Yeah, it was a ring. She drops a ring that they later on find when they're looking for her.
Okay.
And then so Tyrion is with her and everything like that. He is quickly trusted by her because she sees that he is beyond his name. He's not just a Lannister.
Yeah.
And he's actually left in charge when she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
In the north, Jon Snow takes a group of Night's Watchmen to meet with the Wildlings in hopes of forming an alliance. As negotiations are ongoing, the Night's King breaks up their meeting and scores a devastating victory upon their returning to the Wall. A band of mutineer watchmen have Snow run through.
Which that word "run through" is very misleading. That means he got stabbed like 20
That's
times
what
in
run
the
through
chest
means. Yeah,
and
yeah.
gut, and yeah.
They take
So-
turns, including little Ollie. Fuck that kid.
Yeah.
Stabbing him.
Murdering their leader, Jon Snow, who I get by the book was a traitor, but
Yeah,
he
we
was
got to
a
give a
traitor.
little bit of context again. We're not trying to go too long here,
I know.
but it's
Season
just
7 is going to be longer.
This
We
is
might-
actually a very good. Well, yeah, but even if this is an hour and a half episode,
Mm-hmm.
in an hour and a half episode, you're getting caught up in a very good way. I think.
Yeah.
Personally, this is
Rapidly.
me creating it, so whatever. But you're getting caught up on a lot of good story details.
Yeah.
You could go to the office and pretend like you've watched the show now. Congrats.
If we need to stop and do 7 on a separate clip,
No, I think
we
we'll
could
do it all, and the people can fast forward as they want to
Oh.
go. 15-second along, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what's important here is, first off, it's one of the baddest ass battles ever, the battle at Hardhome, when the Night's King comes in and starts wrecking stuff up.
Yeah.
The director of that battle, he later on does Battle of the Bastards. He's the one that's in charge of the prequel coming up.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's the one where at the end of the battle, you see them get on boats and they're just barely getting away.
And the Night's King's like, "What up, bro?" And he raises the army of everybody he just killed.
Oh, God,
Because he could raise the dead to fight for him.
Yep.
And then we see another big thing here is when he gets back, the reason that a lot of the older Night's Watch people want him dead is because Jon's making deals with the Wildlings, which again, at this point, all the
They
Night's
think
Watch
it's the enemy.
think
Yeah.
they're the enemy, yeah.
just
And the
don't
Wildlings see Jon as like, hey, he's a guy who can bring safety to us.
Yeah.
He's different than the normal Night's
He's
Watch.
one of these, crooked crows, but he actually understands what we see and what
Yeah.
we come from. So he might be the bridge between us.
And this is a moment, because remember, there's been times the Boltons took over to Winterfell. He wanted to go down there, but he did the honorable thing. This is the Ned Stark getting his head cut off again.
Yeah.
Doing the right thing gets you killed in Game of
It's
Thrones.
so heartbreaking because you see that and you're like, oh my God, I let it happen. I let myself fall in love with this Jon Snow, and then these guys are murdering him just
I
like
did
his
it with
dad.
Rob Stark
You
before.
son of a
Rob Stark was doing the great thing.
Yeah, got
and he did
killed
the
at the
honorable
Red
thing
Wedding.
by, I'll go to the Red Wedding because it's what's best.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Don't go near Phrase. He burnt
Got
them. Don't
murdered.
do it.
Exactly.
Jon Snow.
He gets,
Just protect yourself.
and completely gets murdered, stabbed by 20 or so of his men.
Yeah.
One
This
after the
entire
other.
time, each one of these kids have dire wolves. There's giant wolves.
Yeah.
He keeps the wolf in cage. If that wolf was loose, he'd be good right
Oh
now.
yeah. Yeah, like Brand's wolf is what saved him when he was getting assassinated or attempted assassination.
Attempted assassination, season 1.
That's
All right,
good.
John, we're into season 6. We got
All
2
right,
more to go.
season
Fire
6.
away.
After Jon Snow is raised from the dead by Melisandre, such a awesome moment.
God, I know.
And the Revenant Knight takes back control of the Night's Watch and plans to reclaim Winterfell from Ramsay Bolton, who has since slain his family.
All right. So real quick. Oh, okay. He is reunited with Sansa at the Sansa at the wall. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no. I was just thinking when he slayed his family, whose family did Bolton slay?
Bolton,
His own family or the
because
Starks?
he's part of the Red Wedding plot.
Oh, that
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
So he's taking over Winterfell.
Yes.
Okay, this is really kind of an important thing. This
Mm-hmm.
is our turn in Jon Snow. He sees that he has to be the guy that's doing right, but there can be movement in
Yeah.
that, And so the idea with the Night's Watch is you can never leave it until you die. Well, guess what? He just got stabbed
Yeah.
to death.
And he
so
did-
he doesn't need to stay at the Night's Watch anymore.
yeah.
So then he is resurrected. His oath is paid to the Night's Watch, and now he can be Jon Snow, the bastard son of Ned Stark.
Yeah.
Wink, wink to that.
Yeah.
And then take over Winterfell. And God, it's one of those moments where you're like, yeah, you're just shouting at your TV. You're excited.
That was a super exciting moment. In the ensuing Battle of the Bastards, Ramsay is finally overcome when Littlefinger and the Knights of the Vale unexpectedly enter the battle. Ramsay is fed to his own dogs.
Yeah, so we see the Battle of the Bastards. Jon Snow takes a wildling army who fully respects Jon Snow now, and they leads him south, takes over Winterfell, fights the Ramsays, who just took over Stannis. Now,
Yeah.
this is a prime army. They are
Yeah.
really good. It uses giants. He uses
Yeah.
giants. Anyways, fights Ramsay, takes over his own castle. There was a harrowing moment where they were surrounded.
Yeah.
And
It
of
was a
course,
really-
classic.
Really cool scene too.
This was so well. That's why I'm so excited for the Game of Thrones prequel, because it's made by this guy.
Yeah.
The Vale comes in. Littlefinger, of course, he's got to look like the hero. It's the only time he's ever in front of an army when he knows he's going to win it.
Yeah.
He comes in and they end up taking over, and so the Vale is now there with Jon Snow and the Wildlings.
Realizing with all this battle, there's going to be so many women and children and so few men left after all these are done.
Well, that's in season 7. They address that a little bit.
they kill a
when
lot
they're
of-
like getting ready for
Yeah.
the Night's Watch, or when they're getting ready for the Night's King and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love it because, anyways,
We'll get to season 7.
yeah, okay, I'm sorry. We'll keep going. I'm sorry. My
In
bad.
King's Landing, Cersei faces trial for her misdemeanors as the High Sparrow continues to dominate the hopeless King Tommen. The Queen Mother finally takes matters into her own hands, blowing up the great septum of Baelor with the last of the wildfire, killing Marjorie and the High Sparrow. In his grief, Tommen commits suicide.
Big moment. The way this episode is directed is like art.
Yeah.
It is so perfect. It is Godfather style artwork. It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
They've done that a few times too. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we see Cersei. She blows up basically the big
church.
church
Yeah.
with all her enemies are in that church.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody who's inside of King's Landing that was trying to stab her in the back is dead. Tommen, her last innocent son, who truly fell in love with Marjorie and fell in love with this religion,
Yeah.
kills himself. And it's just like, man. And we saw earlier on, I think it was not mentioned yet, but Marjorie's daughter, or Cersei's daughter also died. So that is the last of Cersei's kids. It was the only thing keeping her sane. It was her
Yeah.
driving force for any bit of good that was in her was her kids. Now it's full on Cersei
So,
going back.
To an extent, she kind of caused it by
She
blowing
calls
up.
all three of them.
Yeah, it's her controversial way. Like she can't make peace with anybody. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was intense. But I like how she's a woman of action. You know what? You guys are.
That's true.
She had to do her walk of shame. You guys want to play these little games? Okay, I'm just gonna wipe you and everybody in your little circle off the map right now.
Freaking nuts.
Anybody want to question me? Come knock on my door. I'll have Clegane stand. I'll have the mountain standing there with me.
Yeah.
She's one to be trifled with.
You hate her and you love her.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Daenerys is now a prisoner of the Dothraki after she got surrounded when she had to land.
Yeah.
The barbarians expect the wife of their late Khal to live in seclusion like the other widows. She soon persuades them of her divine power by walking unharmed through fire and returns to Meereen as their leader. That was one of my favorite scenes with Daenerys. It was
Yeah.
so well done. So she's there, as their prisoner. She's just a woman by herself. She had her dragon, but I think they chained him down or something, right?
The dragon wasn't there because it was still healing from the
Yeah.
spears. Yeah.
So there's a tent of like 8 or 10 or so leaders of the clans of the Dothraki, and they're trying to decide her fate pretty much, or telling her that she
You need to go into retirement. What it is, they have like an area back at their what would be considered a capital for the Dothraki, although they're mobile people, no beds.
Yeah.
Where all the Khals wives go to retire and just sew all day, and she's like, no.
Yeah, so she goes in there, tells them how great she is, and tips the burning oil over. The whole tent bursts into flames. She's walking through the flames as she talks to them, and walks out of there as all those leaders of the
Dothraki kills all the Khals.
Yeah, they're all dead. Now she walks out in flames like she's done before, proving that she's an unstoppable force, and all these guys
Unburnt.
respect her. Yeah. All these people rally behind her, these 8 or 10 different
Because they
Dothraki
follow
tribes.
strength.
Yeah.
And now she proved
And she
killed
killed
the strongest.
every one of their leaders. Yeah.
At the same time, was it while they're cruising back, whatever? Here comes the dragon,
Yeah.
Drogo, which is just like, oh yeah, that's what I ride.
Sign
You guys
of
ride
power.
horses. I
Yeah.
got that one right there. That is the stallion that'll mount the world, which
There
is
you
what they
go.
say about her son,
Yeah.
Drogon, her son.
Gosh.
I love this show.
Yeah, such a powerful scene. I love that one. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's carry on. Theon,
We're
free.
geeking out so hard.
I know, right? I'm so ready for the next season. Theon, free of his ordeal at the hands of Ramsay, returns to the Iron Islands, where he conspires with his sister Yara Greyjoy to steal the royal fleet from their usurping uncle Euron. They sail for Essos and join Daenerys Targaryen's cause.
Yeah, Euron is right now like, yeah, I killed your dad. He's the one that killed their dad.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and start just wrecking shit right now. He wants to go full on Raider again, which is the old way. Theon and Yara see that like for the future of the Greyjoys, they need to align with people.
Yeah.
They need to create themselves as an actual noble house.
Yeah, we can go around raiding people and stuff like that, but if we want to have longevity and last, we need to have some partners out there that, when we need support, we have somebody else we can reach out to as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, build some strength behind their name.
Yeah.
All right, so leaving the House of Black and White, As an elite assassin, Arya avenges her brother and mother by slitting the throat of Waldor Frey.
Boy, that is the most understated thing ever.
God, yeah. Oh, yeah. She just killed this guy. Oh no, she did it so masterfully. It was awesome.
Yeah, she has the ability to take faces. She'll look like somebody else.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the beginning of the next season?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I won't say nothing else.
Okay. And then after that, so that was exciting. Everybody wanted to see
Frey's
that
the one that
revenge.
did the Red Wedding, so
Yeah.
she got rid of him.
Yeah. Bran, who has been training with the three-eyed raven, encounters the Night King, who slays the master, enabling the pupil to succeed him.
So the three-eyed raven, who's been training him how to become like basically this passing wizard.
What would you say the three-eyed raven is, though?
Let's just for the sake of this summary, let's just call him he's like a wizard.
Okay, yeah.
He could like see the past.
Yeah,
he's
see
like
the past,
really
present,
complicated,
kind of the
but
future.
Yeah, he can barely see the future, just like hints of it. It's
Yeah.
really kind of tricky. That he's not supposed to, but can.
But he could see anywhere in the present and everything
he
in the
can become
past.
birds. He can become other things.
Yeah, possess
he can
creatures.
possess all things and humans at some degree.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Simpler-minded ones.
simple-minded ones, exactly.
Yeah.
And at this point, we see that the Night King finds where the tree is at, that they're hiding in, attacks it, kills a lot of the children of the forest, which are these ancient people that were around for a long time.
With magic.
The three-eyed raven, and most sadly, Hodor, which has been like this protector, this simple-minded protector to Bran.
That was another heartbreaking scene.
So many.
And then there's this whole, you have to just watch the episode. We can't explain all of it. But the whole thing with Hodor's name, hold the door, and the reflection.
Watching the younger version of Hodor realize what's happening.
Heartbreaking. You just really got to watch that episode. All right, but let's dig into season 7.
Yeah, this is our last season, and this is an hour 15 in. So here we go. I might have edited it down so that doesn't work. Okay, season 7. Daenerys heads to Dragonstone, once the home of Stannis Baratheon and the home before that of the Targaryens, taking her massive army of the Unsullied and the Dothraki aboard the Frey ships. Melisandre encourages her encourages her to court Jon Snow as an ally in the Battle of the Iron Thrones. For the Iron Throne, boy, I can't read right now.
Right.
After receiving an invitation from Daenerys, Snow goes to meet her at Dragonstone. The pair grow close as the plan how to defeat the Lannisters and the White Walkers. They decide to send Yara and the Unsullied to King's Landing. That was a mess of words. I'm sorry, I kind of got distracted there.
Nah, that's right.
So basically, what's happening is Daenerys comes in. She takes her old house back, that the Targaryens used to stay at. And Stannis has been
Dragonstone.
Dragonstone. It's built for dragons to stay at, so it's great for her dragons. Remember that she has the Unsullied army. She has the Dothraki with her now.
Huge fleet.
She has the ships of the Dorne, which are the people all the way to the south with the Red Viper.
Yeah.
She has the Greyjoy ships that the two kids took. And then she sends words to Jon Snow like, hey, team up with me. Jon Snow needs Dragonglass. Their whole focus now that they've beaten the Boltons is to fight off the White Walkers that are coming.
Yeah, at this point, they just found out or just explained to everybody that, hey, this is what we need. We got to find out how we can get more.
Yeah, so they need Dragonglass, and Dragonstone is built on Dragonglass because Dragonglass is obsidian. It is rock melted by Dragonfire.
Yeah, Sam found that in an old book and was able to get up there and tell him that, right?
Yeah. He wrote the message to him.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That Dragonstone's built on it.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. All right, then we head to the next part. Cersei considers a marriage proposal from Euron Greyjoy and offers him a chance to prove himself by defeating the incoming invaders. Yara and her army are defeated by Euron. I love this because what it is this is just another moment, but throughout this season, Cersei and Daenerys, they're two powerful queens in Westeros.
Yeah.
Total girl power, they're badasses. And they keep trading blows. Like every time you think like Dany's got one on Cersei, Cersei's got something back, and Cersei does something on Dany, Dany's got one back. I mean, you bring a dragon to you, it's like crazy. So it's really go back and forth.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, battles erupt between Dothraki cavalry and the Lannister battalions, led by Jaime. Daenerys' dragon Drogon is injured by a specially designed ballista during the fray. So during this back and forth, there is a moment where the Lannisters, we won't go into the details, but the Lannisters are bringing a ton of gold back into King's Landing. Daenerys just lost a battle by surprise, and she's been taking a lot of advice from other people. She's like, you know what? I need to be a dragon on this one. She takes her Dothraki, which are badasses that haven't been even seen, like, really, in Westeros. So their fighting style's not even known.
Yeah.
And she takes her dragon, and they just go through and they slaughter the Lannisters.
Yeah.
Slaughter them. Just dragon fire on everything. They're badasses. And so we see them roll in, and that fight shows everybody else what the Targaryen. This whole time it's been rumors.
Yeah.
This shows the Targaryens.
If there was
Power.
anybody left to tell the story.
Right. There's people running. There's
Yeah.
people that are going to learn.
Yeah,
Jamie almost dies. Bronn saves him. Bronn shoots a ballista that's meant to kill dragons. They designed it to kill dragons.
It's like a giant crossbow.
Yeah, basically. It hits Drogon, but she's able to, so it kind of also gets Daenerys a little worried that, hey, dragons are not immortal.
Bulletproof, yeah.
Yeah. Having seen the dragons, Jamie warns Cersei of Daenerys' power. Jon and Daenerys decide to call a truce with Cersei and head north of the Wall to capture a White Walker. Jon succumbs to the Night's King's trap and requires saving by Daenerys. In the process, they capture a Walker but lose a dragon, Viserion, who falls under the Night's King's spell.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker again.
That was hard. And you mentioned before how you didn't like that they had to make themselves vulnerable like that, right?
Yeah, it was one of the scene. I don't personally, I didn't like how the scene was done, where they were kind of stuck in a spot and they just had to wait for a few days for the water to freeze so that the Night's Kings can. So, if it only makes sense, and it can be argued this case that, and we don't want to go too far into this, but the Night's King was doing this hoping that a dragon would come up.
Yeah.
Because ideally you'd think he knows about dragons. They kicked in when dragons kicked in. Like, they're both kind of, swinging.
Yeah.
So there's an idea that they know about each other. So that makes sense. Otherwise, it just doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
That happens.
I mean, I wouldn't imagine you would come with that spear ready too if you didn't expect there's going to be a dragon.
Well, he uses that spear all the time. Like, yeah, you're right. But he does use that spear often.
Does he battle with that as like a staff?
Yeah, I think we've seen him before.
Oh, okay.
That's like his main thing.
Okay.
But the Night King is a badass.
Yeah.
He's so Terminator. Like, he just walks slowly and just kills things that are in front of him.
Yep.
It's crazy. They do a really good job filming him. But yeah, so Daenerys loses one of her dragons, basically one of her kids, Viserion.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
And Viserion is now a White Walker as well. Like, you
see him fall into the
zombie
water.
dragon.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, they're dragging him out.
Zombie dragon. yeah. So it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. He breathes blue flames now. Jon and Daenerys head to King's Landing to discuss teaming up with Cersei to defeat the Walker army. They bring their captured White Walker to convince her. Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion head back to Winterfell after the meeting. Snow and Targaryen become intimate. So,
brown chicken, brown cow.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So they go down there. They show them, like, hey, here's a zombie. We need to stop fighting each other. Let's fight the White Walkers.
Yeah.
Cersei's like, yeah, sure thing. She's full of shit.
At first she was super reluctant and tried to start a fight or a disagreement over it, and then she was like, okay, you know what, you guys appealed to me. I'll instead of just pulling back my troops, I'll send my troops alongside you and we'll fight at the wall. And then when you look back on history, you'll see that I wasn't selfish, whatever, that I chose to support you.
Yeah.
Sure enough, she's lying.
Cersei's lying, but Jaime, who has learned honor throughout this series, again, so much growth in the show, is like, how dare you? We need to fight for the living right now. He saw that zombie as well.
Yeah.
And we keep using zombie, but whatever. And so he ends up leaving Cersei to go join the North and help them. That is insane character change.
Now, was he able to take any of his army with him or no?
No, it's just him on his own.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were him, maybe he wouldn't kill her. It's his sister and he loves her, even though she's psychotic. But you'd think him being the commander of the armies, that he'd be able to just go down and say, all right, guys, she said this. Let's go ahead and start marching that way. And, they would follow because he's their leader.
That would be funny. That'd be great.
And we're just going out for lunch. We'll be back.
And then, so Jon and Daenerys. Okay, so we also get a reveal at this moment, too. Jon and Daenerys, they're on their way back. They've been shipping back and forth.
Now, close quarters on a ship.
They go to shake and bake. And one thing we learned, okay, get ready for gross out. We learned that this is a really big reveal. It's been theorized for a long time, and it was finally revealed. Jon's father is not Ned Stark. It's actually Rhaegar Targaryen, Daenerys' eldest brother, who had died a while back.
So Jon is actually her nephew.
Yeah.
Technically.
So,
that's crazy. But, I mean,
they set that precedent pretty early on.
The Targaryens only breed with each other, right?
Right. So don't be gross about it. It's cool.
But he doesn't have silver hair, so how is he different?
Because the seed is strong. And so I guess actually that's inverse. But because the Targaryen bloodline is only blonde hair because they keep breeding with each other, the outside dark hair is dominant. That's like with Joffrey and the Baratheons. His hair should have been dark.
So who was his mom?
His mom is Lyanna Stark, Ned Stark's sister.
Oh, that's okay.
So
I was backwards on that.
So Ned is actually, I know this gets complicated, guys, and you're just hearing this over a podcast, so it's hard. But Ned's mom is Ned's Ned is the uncle to Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why his hair is dark, is because the white, it's basically white hair of the Targaryens is such a recessive gene that if they don't breed in a family, that it gets off.
Okay, so that's the one that in the first episode, I think, first episode, Robert Baratheon goes down to see that statue in in Winterfell. That was Ned's sister, who he was in love with, who was actually Jon's mother.
Right, and he was in love with her, and the whole reason for the war in the first place, the reason Targaryens were overthrown, is because she ended up going with Rhaegar Targaryen instead. He thought kidnapped.
Yeah.
And what we find out is they were married, they ended up getting married, and they had a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And Ned came in while the kid was being born, and this is after Rhaegar had died, and she asked Ned to protect him.
Yeah.
And so the best way to protect a bastard Targaryen is to pretend like he's not a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And that's why he raised him as his own son.
And what was his name to be? She said in there.
I think they're going
it was
with
Aegon.
I think they're going with Aemon.
Aemon, okay.
or maybe Aegon. There's a lot of different theories out there.
She did whisper it, silently before, and then we see it again later. All this was revealed because Bran's ability to see the past. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
It gets complicated, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
His name should have been Jaehaerys though, because that's actually everybody believes it's supposed to be Jaehaerys.
Oh,
that's also they're like, there's only so many Targaryen names, but yeah. So Arya and Sansa are reunited with Bran at Winterfell, but tensions between the sisters emerge and are exploited by Littlefinger because he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
His duplicity is exposed when Bran reveals that Littlefinger was the one who killed Jon Arryn, the one who started this whole thing. The murder that instigated the entire Game of Thrones. Okay, I should just keep reading. Sansa has him executed. Bran also learns that Jon's true heritage. Again, should we keep reading? He is... he is in fact Ned Stark's not bastard son, but a Targaryen with a legitimate claim to the throne. Literally what we just talked about.
Yeah.
But Littlefinger is killed by Sansa and Arya.
Littlefinger and all his spies and stuff like that he just didn't anticipate or understand that Bran's abilities were what they were.
Yeah, because he lives in a world of no magic.
Yeah.
So the idea that Bran comes in and he has the ability to do this, Bran gives him a hint of this because while they were talking at first, because Littlefinger's laying down some pipe basically saying like he's trying to like become friendly with Bran as well, just in case Bran comes in charge. He's always trying to play all the games. But Bran tells him chaos is a ladder, which is something that Littlefinger had said in the past. So he knew like there's something different here. And then so he can't account for Bran. Yeah. Bran's the unaccountable.
Yeah. So that he gives insight to the sisters that hey, he's playing you and this is what actually happened in the past. And I like the scene where so they don't just he wasn't just beheaded by the Axeman or anything like that. Arya herself walks up and slits his throat after he gets called out in court in front of them. Yeah.
So good.
And they played it off as if Arya was being called to court and Jon was just going to watch from the side, but instead they or Littlefinger. Yeah, sorry, wrong one. Littlefinger. Peter. That's his first name.
Peter Baelish.
I'm like, what the heck is it?
We can go to the in-depths on all this stuff. Like, we're at an hour and a half by the time this is going to be done. I know it's a long one, guys. Yeah. But we could talk about this for probably 17 hours.
Yeah.
Finally, the Night's King and the White Walkers breach the wall, and with the help of Viserion, the new undead dragon made of ice, winter has come to Westeros.
That was an intense scene. That was
freaking
really cool. So one thing to point out, I believe you've told me this before, that the dragon's breath has an element of magic to it.
Yeah.
Right? So the wall is protected, not just because it's a huge wall of ice, but there's layers of spells put into it as it was built many years ago by Lord knows who. So it's impenetrable because of that as well.
Right.
But the dragon's breath not only melts the ice, but it's breaking down the magical spells. And you see kind of shockwaves through it of blue energy.
Yeah.
Could be the
when
fire.
They go, because they actually store their food on the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. They talk about it, again in the book, they talk about it when they go down there that you could see like it shimmers blue and they're like when they're close up to it, they refer to how like it has like runes in it basically. So as
the dragon's flying back and forth burning it, it starts to kind of erupt and crumble.
And there are some theories that when they brought the White Walker down south too, they broke the magic.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, that you can't do that. Like that would have, or the fact that Bran had gotten touched by his uncle Benjen Stark. There's all kinds of stuff we didn't say, guys. Yeah. But basically, when Bran got touched by his uncle Benjen Stark, he also got those runes on him. Mm-hmm. Not Bran. Jon. When the Night's King touched him through his dream.
Oh, I see.
He got like burned with that. So as soon as he went south, he broke the rune as well.
Maybe.
So there's all kinds of like little things like that. You know,
It could have. Yeah. Either way, the wall's down.
the wall is down.
Yeah.
Shit is on.
It's,
So that's where we're at, guys. I know it was a lot to listen to, but now you got Game of Thrones in you. Now you are on board.
We're caught up.
You can tell everybody at work, like, yeah, totally watch Game of Thrones, man. That thing about Bran, that's nuts.
Yeah.
You're on it now, guys. Yeah, Jon Snow, I can't believe that stuff.
And better yet, now that you got hooked from just listening to us, start over and watch it from season 1 when you have
At
time.
some point, yeah, when you got time. It's a lot of hours.
So good.
Next week, we're going to be talking about each character's current location, where we can see them in the next season. We're going to be talking about our predictions and what we think is going to happen in season 8 and just getting more and more prepped. So thank you guys very much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
All right, bye.